Ashley Adamson with you. This is the fourth and final stop of the West Coast part of the Big Ten training camp tour. And Yogi, when you think about USC, no one knows better than you, having been on the staff under Pete Carroll, that this is a place that will always judge itself based on championships won. So for you, what is the biggest storyline, the deciding factor for Lincoln Riley as he heads into year 4?
Well, I really believe that last year was a foundational year for the program, Ash. Meaning year 1, lightning in a bottle, Caleb Williams. Year 2, they tried to get it all right in the portal. Didn't work. Year 3, they bring in Dan Lynn, flip the defense, and they did a nice job in high school recruiting and developing the players. Now here we go into year 4. I just think it's year 2. Last year, so many tight games. This year, an opportunity to turn the tide in that regard. So the number one thing I'm looking for is just continuous growth. I think that foundation is set. I think it's solid. I think they've added the pieces. Can't wait to watch them practice.
You mentioned the tight losses, and that was the thing. There were so many excruciating games last year that could have gone either way. 5 losses. They all led in the fourth quarter in all of those losses. And you think about what it takes to just, it's a game of inches, right? They say that all the time. What are you most interested in finding out today to see what this thing looks like right now?
Well, number one, you want to watch the attention to detail in practice. We know Lincoln Riley well enough to know that the practice is going to be detailed. But that is also player-led, player-driven. It's what they talk about here all the time. So we are in the pseudo-dog days of training camp, right? You still got a couple more before they really kick out of training camp and get into game plan mode. So I want to look at some of these new faces and veteran faces. How is Elijah Page leading this offensive front? What does the defensive front look like? Because physically, it looks totally different. I was here in the spring, saw a bunch of different bodies. Can't wait to see what the offseason, Tremaine Carroll, the new strength and conditioning coach, what did he do with them? We know they're gifted the skill position players. We know that they can fly around. They're going to make plays down the field. But where are they in the trenches in this league?
Yeah, and I think that is the question. That's been the focus for Lincoln Riley, is developing that depth on both sides of the line. Chad Bowden, the general manager, we're going to get a chance to talk to him today. And you talk to people around the program, and it sounds like he's made a huge difference in the 7 months that he's already been here.
The job of a head coach, I mean, it is a true CEO. Lincoln Riley is the CEO, and he's the play caller. And so many things have happened since he was named the head coach. I remember being at the press conference at the LA Memorial Coliseum. So bringing in Chad Bowden, I believe, just lets Lincoln Riley take a breath to a certain degree, do what he does best. He's still going to have his fingerprints all over everything. But having Chad here clearly has helped in recruiting. Just look at any recruiting site, how the Trojans are doing. They have a whole department. It's not just one body. He's got an entire staff in that regard. So I think from on the field, personnel, recruiting, taking care of the current players, their families, all these little things you hear about what Chad has done. And I think it's to the betterment of the USC Trojans.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to talking to him and the players and the coaches and the coordinators here over the next hour here on the USC football training camp tour. But we begin with the offense, and the one thing that we do know is that every Lincoln Riley coach team is going to put up points. Trojan fans already know their quarterback. Jaden Mava replaced Miller Moss at the end of last year. He finished 3-1 as the starter, and this season he's got firepower all around him, including 2 of the nation's best targets in Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane, plus a brand new backfield which features the reigning JUCO National Player of the Year. And that running back is Wayman Jordan Jr. He and the quarterback, Jaden Mava, joining us now here on our Big Ten training camp tour. Gentlemen, it's great to see you. It was fun to watch you out there practicing. I know, you're 17 practices in, and it feels like the dog days of camp. You can't wait to go, play against somebody else. But for you, the adjustment of coming here, and I'd love to hear your story about how you were crushing it in JUCO last year. How'd you end up at USC?
Just hard work and dedication, honestly, and just going through the recruitment process and just finding the right fit, and just USC was just that. It's the place to be.
Has it sunk in yet?
Not completely yet. Like, when I get a chance to see that Coliseum full, like, it's going to really, like, hit me.
Jaden, you were obviously new last year. You come in from UNLV. This is a different camp for you, and Lincoln Riley has talked about just your confidence in the way that you're seeing things and understanding sort of what he wants you to see on the field.
Yeah.
Where are you at compared to a year ago?
Sure, I'm a lot further down the road for sure than I was last year. Coach Riley and the staff does such a great job, getting the guys that, that should be out there to play out their hardest and, attacking each and every day, especially with a guy like Waymo, he just get the ball ball in his hands, he does special things. So,
have you been in a Waymo? Like, do you have a deal with them yet?
No, I haven't had a chance to be in a Waymo, but hopefully we can make that happen.
Okay, I don't trust them to be.
I'm scared of technology like that, like self-driving cars, but like we can still make it happen.
Have you guys seen the drivers in LA? Like I try the Waymo's are the thing.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Because I remember your uncle Kaluka when he played here. I was on the staff when he was a player here.
Yeah.
Did you have dreams of playing at SC and rocking the Cardinal and Gold after watching him do his thing on that defense?
Honestly, yeah, I would say yeah. But like growing up, I kind of watched the University of Hawaii, and like. Yeah, they had some really big games, but SC with my uncle Kaluka and Troy Polamalu and those guys being here, honestly, it was a goal for me to get here one day, and obviously I'm here and I accomplished that goal, so I'm super blessed to be here. It's
pretty fascinating when you get to sit in the chair of QB1. Yeah. Also, running back, when you walk out to practice, you see that all of the Hall of Famers. You see that list of NFL draft picks: Marcus Allen, Charles White, Reggie, Lendell. I mean, there's a lot of elite backs.
Yes, sir.
What's it like to potentially add your name to that list?
It's just wonderful, just knowing like who came before me, and just in general, like it's been great players come through this program at each position, honestly, and just being here and just continuing their legacy is like. Just means everything. Like I grew up watching Adoree Jackson, so being able to wear his numbers still means something to me too. Also,
have you talked to any of those elite backs from back in the day?
Lendell. And Marcus Allen.
What was their message to you?
Marcus Allen was just telling me like to watch film and keep learning the game and keep evolving with the game, and that's what made him so great, and just that's what separated him, just learning and kept learning. And then I haven't got a chance to really talk to Lendell as much as I talked to Marcus Allen. We had like a longer conversation.
Well, I think to that exact point, not only some phenomenal running backs come through, but some unbelievable quarterbacks have come through this program as well. And you talk about the Trojan family. I mean, that is something that you hear from everyone inside the program for years. Mm-hmm. What has it been like for you, and have you connected with some of the QB greats that have come through here?
Yeah, actually, when I got named a starter, I'm not sure what game it was, but a lot of guys reached out, like Matt Leinart, Sam Darnold, those guys, which was a shocker to me. I was super starstruck that they even had my number and just, took their time out of their own day to just, shoot me a text. And, it was kind of simple. It was just like stay down and trust in the process. So.
I can remember when Sam Darnold was named the starter. It wasn't in the beginning of the season.
Really?
He had to bide his time. It was mid-season. And they went off, and he went off. They beat Penn State in the Rose Bowl, just a classic game, like 2017. Mm-hmm. And I can remember his offseason. Yeah. And it was different because he had the keys to the car. And it was different than when he got named the starter early on in that season. So for you, I'm kind of curious, what has this offseason been like? How have you prepared yourself to navigate and manage everything that comes with being the starting quarterback?
Yeah, I think the anticipation been crazy. I try to stay present in the moment each and every day. Just attacking each and every day with the guys and being able to, stack these days and get 1% better every day.
Last thing, we'll let you guys go because I know you probably got dinner to go to, but I know that in camp sometimes it's hard to get like great highlights from camp footage, right? But we got a play from you guys that we're going to show everybody now. Everybody knows you can run the ball. Like your numbers bear that out. You're going to be able to run the ball, but you are also an elite pass catcher. Can you walk us through this throw? You remember this, Jaden?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he was the last in my progression. I was going through my reads. Everything. Our defense does such a great job giving us great looks, but except for that one play where I threw him the deep ball, I'm going through my reads. I see Wayne Jordan down the sideline. He had a step on the linebacker or whoever it was. And I trusted him to go get it, and I put it up, and he went underneath it.
Anything you would add to that?
I mean, just like he said, like when I seen the ball, like as soon as I see him look back at me, like I already knew the ball was coming. Like I knew where he was going to place it. So all I had to do is just go win at that point. I know he trusts me to win, so I got to win every time. If
you've got running backs that can catch the ball like that, I think we're going to be pretty well. I'm excited to watch you guys this year, and thanks so much for the time.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Up next, we flip to USC's defense. After a big jump last season, what does Danton Lynn see as possible in year 2? And later, the head coach, Lincoln Riley, on what has to change in close games, the impact of his new GM, and the expected payoff for the program's big investment in its facility. Offensive coordinator himself, Danson Lynn. Coach, it's great to see you, and we were just looking at some of those numbers of how much improved this defense was in your first year. I'm curious now, your first full off season here, you've been able to get acclimated to these guys. They've been able to get acclimated to you. What is different in this fall camp compared to a year ago?
Just so many guys who have been in the scheme. Last year was just Kamari. So having him helped because he helped get the DBs up to speed. Now you have a core of guys up front. You have a core of inside backers. You have a handful of DBs. So even though we have a lot of new additions, they've just helped speed up the process, which has been awesome.
Where do you think this next second step, how far can you go compared to the step that you made last year?
We just try to take it day by day, and we just want to be better today than we were yesterday. And we just know that if we just keep on improving every single day with the guys that we have, we could be a good defense.
Okay, well, it helps a good defense when you look a little different on the defensive front. And you all look a little different this year. Cameron Fountain lights out in the bowl game, but there's been some other players that have arrived. Take us through that group, and what do you expect from them with a game a little more than a week ago?
We had some guys that we got in transfer portal with Jaw and Keyshawn. We have a lot of incoming freshmen who have a lot of talent. So, again, it's a lot of new faces up front, but we feel like we have more size, more depth, better athletes, not as much playing experience. It's a lot of youth, but they're all super talented.
How about Mr. Tompkins? This is a guy who played football in 6th grade, didn't play again until a senior in high school, and now he's a starter in your defensive line.
When I got here after the first day of pads, Henny came to me and he goes, "This is going to be our best D lineman." And I didn't see it. And he's gotten better and better and better every single day. And by the end of the year, he was a guy we trusted most up front. And this spring, he's a guy that we play all across the board. He breaks down the team. It's just been awesome to see him grow on and off the field.
I know you've talked about how much you love players who are versatile because it allows you to mix and match and do some different things. Eric Gentry is a freak of nature, watching him. And it's so good to see him back out there because he was playing some of his best football when he got hurt last year. Where is he at, and kind of what does he allow you to do as you're calling the defense?
Man, it's awesome having him out there. I haven't quite coached a guy like him. You could play him on the edge. He plays Will. He plays Mike. He plays Sam. He can do a lot of different things. He's kind of like a chess piece out there. So it's been fun just to get him back out there on the field. We've been playing him all across the board. He's super, super smart. He gets ball, and he's a guy that we try not to overcoach. Just go out there and make plays.
I think it's fun when you get to know players and you're like, that guy, in the future, he's going to be a star. Coach Gennardo said that about you back in the day when he interviewed you back at your old spot. Anthony Beavers seems like he is that man, whether he's traveling across the globe, inspiring people, or having youth camps here in L.A. What is he like to coach? I'm curious how he's impacted you.
He's probably like when there's anything going on, not just on defense. I'm talking about the entire team. Like, he's the guy that they listen to. And again, the more he's played, you've seen his role off the field get bigger and bigger. But it's just a great example for all the other kids. Like, you don't have to be a starter to lead. Anybody can lead.
He was just nominated for the Werfel Trophy, which is given to, somebody who exemplifies excellence off the field and in the classroom. Last thing, real quick for you, Rob Ryan.
Yeah.
I know you have a relationship with him. That's how he ended up here. What has he brought to the mix? Not just from an X's and O's standpoint, but from a personality standpoint as well.
I mean, energy, juice. He's the oldest guy on staff, and he has the most energy every single day. It's hard to have a dull day with him, but he's been awesome. Just his experience. He's coached D-line, outside backers, inside backers. He's been a coordinator. So just having his experience and being able to bounce ideas off of him has been awesome.
I love it. Coach, thank you so much for the time and the insight, and we're looking forward to watching you guys this year.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Coming up next, Lincoln Riley gets candid on learning.
Is a more confident, more self-assured in every way. As a player, as a leader, commanding the offense, like this guy's just, it's almost like he's not a different person, but it's like a totally different version of him right now. And it's fun to see that confidence. You see his personality really coming out, whereas last year he was just really reserved and was just kind of trying to figure it all out and not step out of place and not make mistakes. And now it's just, you just kind of see that swagger and confidence. And I think our guys are feeding off that right now.
Okay, let's double down on that because we're calling your first game. So we'll be here in about a week in advance of that. What is it like in your conversations? He comes off the field. What are the things that he's saying to you around what he sees and how he's operating this offense?
Yeah, I just think there's a lot more of, you're hearing his opinions. you're hearing what he likes and he doesn't like. He's not afraid to make a mistake. He's not afraid to tell me that he doesn't like something. Like it's more real. It's less trying to please and just more actual real conversations. And that's what that helps you as a coach, because then you really can dive into what's making this guy tick, or how can we tailor something to make him more comfortable as a player. So yeah, it's just on a different level than it was at this time last year.
Is that a commonality, whether it's Baker or Jalen or Kyler or Caleb? Like, they all get to a point where they can be brutally honest with you on how they see the game?
Yeah, some more than others, as you could probably imagine. Maybe one or two. We all got to that point with those guys, though. And your history with somebody, and do you recruit them, and how much did you know them before they got here? Like, all of that plays into it. So obviously the history with Jaden was so limited going into last year. And so, I think all of the guys at some point got to that where you felt like you were going to know exactly what they were thinking. You were going to be able to really kind of like tap into that. And I think it helps you design. It helps in the way you approach every single thing that deals with the quarterback.
Being here a year ago and now walking up this afternoon to see that football facility go up it's unbelievable. Talk to me about what you envision for when guys walk into that place. What do you want them to feel? What do you think it's going to do for the program as a whole?
Well, first, isn't it amazing we found or made room in L.A. to get that big of a facility that we don't have right now, and frankly, a lot of people don't have. And so, I think all of that. I mean, it's going to be our home, and it'll be the home of USC football for forever.
160,000 square feet. Did I get that number right?
7 of these facilities.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a lot of new furniture.
I want to talk about your offensive line for a second. There's a world, I know you haven't named your starters yet, but there's a world where every starter was recruited out of high school.
Yeah.
We've talked about this over the years of you have to have a foundation in your offensive line. Is that a stretch to state that is a huge element of your offense, or would you say, yeah, this is exactly what we hope to be?
That's where we hope to be. It's cool to see that some of the guys that we took a few years ago have really bought into the program, and they've developed. And now you look up, and a lot of these guys have developed into some really good players. And I think not only good in the offensive sense and the schematics and playing the position, but also that position, as we know, is so much about mentality. And these guys have been a part of the rise here, and I think they're kind of your real core culture guys, the guys that, believe in every single thing that we're doing here, big picture, and they're the ones really driving that. So it's cool to have a lot of those guys at one of the most important positions in ball.
I know you love the USC tradition and the history. I love it at wideout, and I can't help but when I watch 8 out there, I think of Dwayne Jarrett, and then when I watch Jacoby Lane, I think of Steve Smith, and that duo, or Kerry Colbert and Big Mike Williams. Yep. What have those two done to your team, having been here now for a few years and being two of the most explosive players in the country? Well,
also 2 other guys that were recruited out of high school that were developed as well. And no, they do. They bring an energy. They bring a confidence and a playmaking ability, not just to the offense, but to the entire team. Lemon is a little bit more quiet and just very steady about his work. Jacoby is a big personality that you always feel his presence on the field. But, I'm proud of them because they both grown up a lot, and they both, to get to where they wanted to go, they both needed to, and just continue to mature, grow in the way that they prepare, the way they practice. I mean, all of it. And it's cool to see their growth and their impact on our program.
Coach, last thing, we're going to get a chance to talk to your new GM, Chad Bowden. We're looking forward to that. I know you mentioned that he has allowed you to get back to doing the thing you love, which is actually coaching football instead of all the other things that now, coaches need to deal with in the world that we're in. What has been the biggest change for you? What has he brought to the program that's allowed you to have almost a different role in year 4?
Yeah, I think just having that person there day in and day out that we can talk about things that are really, really granular all the way up to the highest level, big picture things. And he's always thinking about it. He's one of those guys that his mind is just always going. And it may be something as small as, hey, let's here on a Tuesday morning, let's get a coffee order for the entire staff, up to, philosophy on how we're going to high school recruit here, to anything in between. And I think we did a great job in building a great team around him as well. And just the impact we felt in recruiting, in roster strategy, allowing these coaches, which we've worked so hard to build, to really develop and teach these guys. It's been great. It's like having a great partner as we go through this. And Chad's been incredible so far.
Awesome. Well, we are looking forward to watching your game and hearing hearing these dulcet tones on the call on August 30th. And honestly, thank you for the access. It's been awesome to be here all day and check out what you guys are building here.
Anytime. Thank you, guys.
The Trojans had the top-ranked passing offense in the league last year, and scoring points has never been an issue for a Lincoln Riley coach team. Since he took over here at USC, the Trojans have averaged nearly 38 points per game, which is second in the nation behind only Oregon and ahead of some heavyweights like Tennessee and Georgia. And Yogi, you look at those numbers and you wonder, knowing that the defense was improved, why they didn't win more than 7 games. Part of that was obviously all the close losses that we've talked about, but also part of that is turnovers. They had 21 turnovers, the most in the Big Ten. And so obviously decision-making for Jaden Mava is going to be huge. What do you know about him and what have you learned about him as he heads into really his first full year as a starter?
Yeah, only 4 starts a year ago. And the way that he finished against A&M was just so resilient. I mean, by far, I think the most competitive, complete game that he played in the limited starts he had for USC. From then to now, he's a different player. You know, just watching him on the practice field, and it makes sense, right? Last year, this time, he knew, I remember the coaches telling me about 95% of the offense, right? He was just here. It was just a transfer from UNLV. Now he's entrenched as the guy. I mean, this is his team. And I've always said at USC, you sign here as a quarterback, your household name. You start your Heisman candidate. Like, there's just a different pressure for that. But watching him out at practice today, talking to the coaches, I feel as though he's pretty settled in his role. And I think it helps with the weapons that he has. You look at Jacoby Lane, Mekhi Lemon. Those are 2 of the most premier receivers in the entire country, so I think they're going to help him out like they would help out any quarterback.
They lose Woody Marks in the backfield. Obviously, that's a huge loss, but they've got a 3-headed monster in the running back room that I think, you know, I know Lincoln Riley is excited about, but it all starts, of course, with the offensive line.
Well, pending how this thing shakes out, right, about a few more days left in training camp before they announce potentially who the starting 5 are on the offensive front, there's a chance all 5 were recruited here out of high school. I say that because year 1, when Lincoln Riley had his most success here at USC, that was the deal. There weren't transfers. Year 2, it was a bunch of transfers. Last year, they changed the quarterback, as you referenced, to Jaden Mava from Miller Moss. Now, I think they have guys that they just developed here, and I think that bodes well because the run game scheme under Lincoln Riley is such a challenge to defend. There's so many pullers. This is an athletic offensive line. The 2 tackles, if it's Elijah Page and Tobias Raymond, I mean, they're premier tackles in this league. So I like that group, and to your point of the running backs, they're going to have fresh legs all game long. Jaden Mava is a threat with his legs, and who knows? Maybe Hassan Longstreet has a role. Who knows as the season progresses? He's a pretty dynamic athlete as well.
Yeah, and I think, you know, USC recently got some news that DJ Wingfield will not be eligible to play, so somebody that they thought maybe might be starting on that offensive line will not be eligible. But I think the thing that we have seen with Lincoln Riley as he's rebuilt and retooled this roster is that it has really been, the focus has been on the lines, both offensive and defensive fronts. What do you think for him coming in as the offensive play caller, the guy who can put up more points than anybody? It feels like just whoever is going to go out there, they're going to score. What's going to be the next step for this offense under him?
Well, I think they just got to stay healthy. I mean, they're going to be able to run the football. Last year, I think all the close games, they had 1 and 5 in games decided by 3 or less. So can you take away a possession by converting a 3rd down, a 4th down, keeping the drive alive? I think they run the football, stay within the confines of this offense. And I know he's known as an air raid tree guy coming from the Mike Leach tree, but he's always had success running the football with his best teams. I expect them to do that again. I know they're excited about Waymo at the running back and Wayman Jordan and company, right? A full backfield there. So if they can run the rock, utilize the QB run game, get the ball out quickly and stay healthy, they're going to be a threat. Now, that's a challenge in the Big Ten, right? I don't know if they have the depth that some of the teams that you could argue maybe at the top of this league on the offensive front, but I think they have enough guys that are physical enough that understand the scheme and have been in this scheme since high school to give them a shot up front to make some noise in this league.
And you do know that every great USC team has always had a terrific run game. Still ahead, we're joined by 2 of the tone setters on this Trojan defense. Kamari Ramsey on passing up the NFL to return, and Devin Tompkins on the mindset it takes to anchor the defensive line. The camp tour rolls on next. Couple of the defensive stars, Kamari Ramsey and Devin Tompkins. Guys, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming in here after practice. I know you're deep into fall camp, and that opener probably can't get here fast enough so you can hit somebody else other than the guys on your team. But just a big picture, Kamari, for you, a year into this system at USC, but 2 years under Danson Lynn, how are you feeling at this camp?
I'm feeling good. I mean, another year under our belt, especially with this team, just getting more comfortable, trusting each other with the calls, and just doing our job. And it's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited for this year.
Devin, we just talked to Coach Danton Lynn, and he was talking about how fun it is to have you on the defensive line and how much you have grown and how that you are really going to be the strength of that line up front. How are you feeling coming into this year?
I'm feeling great. Obviously, being a competitor at all times, trying to communicate the message with the rest of the guys, just me being a leader, kind of having that energy because, obviously I can't do it by myself, but like trying to communicate that with the rest of the defense too. So I'm very excited.
All right, we got to settle debate. Best hooper on the team?
Me.
I mean, all he did was play hoops, still a senior in high school.
Yeah, I mean, but he's a lot bigger than what he was in basketball. So he's a good player, but he's not better than me though.
Okay, well, take us through that journey a little bit, right? 6th grade, you play football, and then you clearly are an elite basketball player up until senior year, still playing football again. What led you to go back to the gridiron?
Honestly, it really wasn't my choice, if I'm being completely honest. It was more of a thing with my brother because my brother's a big football head, and he's always told me to play football and this and that, but I really wasn't paying attention to it as much. But my senior year, I kind of just went out there and played for fun, but I kind of gained the love for the game. Like, I got it back. Like, once I went out there, I already knew that, like, this is what I wanted to do, and I'm happy I decided to play football.
Okay, I got to follow up on that. It's one thing to be a stud like him and get a bunch of offers coming out of high school. You're an elite recruit, but nobody even knew you played football until you laced them up and put on a helmet.
Yeah.
What was that journey like for you? Because now you're a premier D lineman.
Yeah, just going out there for my first game, I was kind of like trying to figure out how to play again, but like obviously with my athleticism that I naturally have, God-given talent, I just went out there and played my hardest, and that's what I still do to this day. So it was obviously a blessing.
I kind of want to see you guys play basketball. I'm not going to lie. I know Coach Lincoln wouldn't allow that, but maybe after the season. Kamari, when the guys up front are doing their job, it makes your job on the back end easier and vice versa. What do you see from this defensive line?
Very big, a lot of size, violent hands, just a lot of athleticism. Even though like they have great size, they move really well. It's just been, they're loud, they're always talking, so it's just been great to play with them. I'm excited to play with them during the season too.
A lot of elite teams would say they're either player-led, check, or they're coach-fed, and the best ones usually aren't coach-fed. I'm curious for you, like you've been around here for a while, you've been here now for a couple seasons. Is it a player-led team? How has that transition been with this new coaching staff?
Definitely is. I would say we're definitely more of a player-led team now, especially than in the past. It's kind of been of a focus all off-season for us, especially since the new staff got here. So we've been pushing us players to do better and on and off the field, whether it be like going to class or anything like that, things of that nature. So it's been great.
Is a big part of that Coach Tremaine Carroll?
For sure. Yeah, he's been a great contributor, a great addition to our program. He's came in, instilled a lot of discipline in us, just honing in on the small details that might not seem like they make a big deal, but they do. So he's been a great addition for our program.
I was talking to Matt Leinart at Media Days a couple weeks ago, and he was saying that he kind of likes the fact that the Trojans are, as much as you can in LA, flying under the radar right now. Like, no one's really, you guys are picked 9th to finish 9th in the Big Ten, and I feel like people don't really know what to expect. So I know you tune out all the noise anyways, but how do you feel right now in terms of where the outside expectations are and where you understand where this team is right now?
We feel great. I mean, we can't really focus on the outside because they're not in here grinding with us. They're not in here studying the playbook. They're not on the field with us when it's 90 degrees working out and practicing. So we got to just focus on what's inside these walls. So that's what we're focused on, and I feel like we've done a pretty good job of doing that, and then we're just locked in on doing what we got to do.
All right, maybe one-on-one he's going to say that he wins, but in a game of horse, who's going to win?
Me, for sure.
He's not as skilled as me.
I feel like you have sneaky good games.
Yeah.
I don't even talk too much about it.
We get some highlights for week 1. We got you on the Big Ten Network.
That's the thing, too. I got tape.
Send it in.
We're going to get that. Third down, as we just saw numbers, finishing games seems to be a theme that we keep talking about. But for the defense as a whole, I mean, Danton Lynn, when he came in, we saw him do it at UCLA in his first year. He did the same thing at USC. What is the next step for this defense? How much better can they get in year 2 under the system?
Well, I think, the scheme, check. The staff, check. Then you go to personnel. And that was the first thing that we noticed today, I think, walking around the practice fields. This group looks different. And starting on the defensive front, we just talked to Tompkins. I mean, he is a real dude on the defensive front. You look at Abe Lucas. Can he be that guy? Remember, he was the biggest recruits in the country, went to A&M, came here. Can he turn the corner? I think he's got a chance to be a premier edge rusher. Cameron Fountain, he had the best bowl game. I mean, he looked the best defensive lineman looked like the best defensive lineman on this team at the end of last season. So I'll start with the front. And then you look at the linebackers. I mean, led by Eric Gentry, all 6'6" of him. I mean, the wingspan is incredible. You look at the physicality, coached by Coach Ryan at the linebacker position. Their front seven, their starting front seven looks the part in the Big Ten. And in the back end, you got Kamari Ramsey. I mean, he and Caleb Downs, we know what Caleb Downs is, but I look at Kamari Ramsey and say, he's one of the better safeties in America. So if they can stay healthy again, you just watch their first 11 on defense roll out there, and you're like, okay, they look the part. They got a couple other backups that'll rotate in. I just don't know how deep this team is yet. So they're going to have to stay healthy. But finally, for the first time in a couple years, Ash, the defensive front looks the part.
And I think, when you talk to Danton Lynn, a lot of what it feels like his message is he loves versatility and guys that he can mix and match and put in different places. And I think Eric Gentry is certainly one of those guys. What really makes him unique other than the million-foot wingspan that he has?
Well, I think he'll surprise you with his strength. I can remember watching him as a true freshman at Arizona State, and you're saying, who is this guy? He's just had an impact. He's one of those guys got that grown man strength where he could just bench press anybody. He can bench press an offensive lineman. He'll do that. He'll also drop into coverage. He's going to make throwing lanes such a challenge. And in the run-pass option game, where so many quarterbacks in this league are going to try to fake a run, do they throw it? Do they try to get it over the linebackers in front of the safeties? Good luck against Eric Gentry. I mean, he is in the heads of quarterbacks. You have to be aware of where he is. And then he can come, to your point of the versatility, he can come off the edge. Him against a tackle, a tight end, that's advantage USC all day long. So the ways in which they will deploy him this year will be fun to watch. I can't wait. Week 1, we get to call it.
Yes.
How many different ways can number 18 be all over the field?
It's going to be fun to watch, Yokes. Coming up, USC's new general manager, Chad Bowden, who is changing how this program operates, freeing up Lincoln Riley to focus on coaching. Welcome. You obviously, you come from Notre Dame and built a great reputation there. You were at Cincinnati with Luke Fickell before that. But I think big picture, people may not understand there's so much that has changed in college football over the last few years. This is a new role. So how would you describe what being the general manager of USC football is?
Yeah, I think it's all about taking as much off the plate of our coaches as possible. I think that's what it is. And obviously I have my hand in every aspect of the football program. And my job is to help our coaches just focus on football. And by doing that, what that's going to do is help our players ultimately. And that's what this thing's all about. If our coaches are able to serve our players better and we have more time for them dedicated to them, then we're going to help them out. What
have you learned about Lincoln Riley in the 7 months you've been working with him?
He's a phenomenal coach. Obviously, he's a phenomenal leader. As a recruiter, I think he's one of the most underrated recruiters in college football. I think he does an unbelievable job with preparation and scheduling, detailed. He's done a phenomenal job since I've been with him. We work really well together, and I'm excited to kind of see where he goes. This year with me being here, able to take so much off his plate so he could just be the best Coach Riley.
I'm sure you get asked this much more than I do, but I want to walk around LA here, so many SC fans.
Oh, yeah.
And they often ask, like, we can get back. I think we can get it back to when it was. I'm curious for you, because you're pitching the story of what USC is and what it can be to recruits and their families. What do you say when asked that type of question?
Well, I came here, I came here because I believe in this program. I think it's the greatest university in the country, and I believe that, and I mean that. And all that it stands for, the type of degree that this place allows young people, the type of connections and network, and our alumni, our donors, our former players. There's so much that this, former coaches, there's so much that this place does for young people. There's so much that it does in our community. I think it's the most special place, and it's only a matter of time until it gets back. And I think it's so close. That's the one thing people don't understand is how close we really are. Obviously I wasn't here last year, but obviously I know how close it was last year, and I'm hoping that some of the changes that were done this offseason are able to, push this thing over the edge to get it back to where it's supposed to be.
You know, we talked about the fact that this position hasn't really existed in college football until very recently, but it feels like you have been preparing this for a long time. As a boy, your dad, Jim Bowden, was the GM of 2 different MLB teams. And I just wonder, I mean, for you growing up and being around it and understanding and maybe picking his brain, what was it like to get that experience? And do you lean on him in the role that you have now at all?
I do. I lean on him often. Obviously, growing up watching, watching him, be a GM of the Reds and the Nationals, you learn so much being in big league clubhouses, being in the front office, being in those meetings on draft day, talking to scouts, how he handled his managers, how he handled his players. You learn so much just being there, and I feel like as this thing was kind of evolving, it was like, man, I already have a doctorate. What is required to help a front office, to help a coaching staff, to help the administration. I know exactly what it takes to being a GM. And, obviously just going into this opportunity, I couldn't wait for this one in specific because everything had the type of alignment that I was looking for. And, I'm excited for what we have in store here at USC, and I'm
very transactional. Like, it's this big business now. But you know as well as anybody, the best teams have to have a connection, have to have relationships.
Yeah.
Part of you is at the biggest decisions within this football program, and part of you is making sure you're connecting with the families and the athletes on a personal level. Curious what that has been like for you since you've been in LA.
Well, that's been number one to me. There's nothing more important to me than our current players. Nothing is more important to me than them. And obviously, I know we've had a lot of success in recruiting. I know we've had a lot of success in some of the things that we're doing, but nothing is more important to me than them. And that goes to their day-to-day, that goes into their scheduling, that goes into, everything and every person that is around our football players. I want to make sure that they're getting the most out of them and they're getting the most with their time. I think that's the interesting thing about this position is a lot of people think it is transactional. My job just isn't recruiting an NIL. It's these kids, and it's everything that they do, whether it's nutrition or strength or scheduling or sleep or analytics, whatever we have to do to get the most out of our players to help them grow and become the best versions of themselves. That's what I'm all about.
Relationships are foundational, and I'll get you out of here on this. I think when I was talking to athletic director Jen Cohen last night, she was talking about what a difference you have made, not just from a program standpoint, but from a personal standpoint. She said her son Dylan was not rocking any USC stuff for quite a while, and she said one real meeting and hang with you, and he was singing a different tune, and now he's fighting on. So tell us about that conversation.
Well, I told him, I said, look, we put our blood, our sweat, and tears into this. It'd be a shame if you didn't root for your mom. And I'll be honest, there were times where my dad didn't have really good baseball teams. There were 90 to 100 lost teams, and I wanted everything in my power to root for the New York Yankees because they had some stars. But at the same time, when you know they put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, the guys on the team, what kind of work goes into it, it'd be a shame for you to not root for your mom. It'd be a shame for me to not root for my dad. So I understood where Dylan was coming from, and I'm glad he's fighting on.
I love it. It's such a good story. And last thing, she did tell me that she thinks you're coming along pretty well in beach volleyball. To keep it up.
She's a star. She's
That's what I hear.
She's the star.
That's what I hear.
She's the star.
Chad, thank you so much for the insight and spending some time with us. Appreciate it, and best of luck this year.
Thanks for having me.
Straight ahead, we wrap up our West Coast swing with final thoughts from USC. Year 4 under Lincoln Riley feels like a defining one. What's truly at stake and what Trojan fans can expect.
Americans, we can do anything we want.
Things that we could look back on, but what was your biggest takeaway from talking to everybody today?
Well, man, I wish they had a week 0 game just to get out there and go see it and go call it and be around it. I think a few things stood out from practice, and then I think from talking to the players. From practice, this team, they just look totally different than they did a year ago, and I mean totally different on the defensive front. I mean, they look like real ones. Cameron Fountain, remember the name. I think he's going to be a breakout player this year for this team. Eric Gentry, he's going to give every team major problems. And Kamari Ramsey, he might be their highest drafted player. So I just referenced 3 players at all 3 levels of this defense. I think they're just going to take the next step. And then offensively, Jaden Mava, saw him in the spring, saw him in early on in training camp, and you watch him today, he's got mastery of the system. I mean, he's really matured, and I think there's something to when you get thrust into the action like he was late last season, you're just navigating it. And you watch what he did in the bowl game against A&M, and then watch him today. He's a completely different player. Lincoln Riley would echo that as well. And then I think just on a fun sense, we learned that Waymo has not been in a Waymo, and we also learned who the best basketball player is. So the players are clearly having a good time with one another.
Which, by the way, Waymo told us that he's actually the best basketball player on the team. So I don't know how we're going to settle this, but there's a future in your future. I can see it. Just real quick, the thing that's going to make or break this season for Lincoln Riley is what?
Well, I don't think anything's going to break the season. I think this thing is trending up. And just like their GM, Chad Bowden, told us, like, it's close. And I believe it. If they won those close games, they'd be Illinois right now, narrative-wise, around the Big Ten. They didn't. You got to win those games. I think they have a shot to do that. I think they got to start fast, though. I mean, look at the first game. We're going to be there. You got Clay Helton coming back in week 2. Michigan State and Jonathan Smith. That's not going to be easy. And then they go to Illinois. How do they start this season? They get a break. Then it's Michigan, Notre Dame. I think we'll know a lot by the time we get to that second bye.
It has been awesome to be on this West Coast swing with you, Yogi. Thank you so much. As always, I have one final tip for USC fans at home, which is if you haven't seen it yet, go to YouTube and type in Yogi Roth. Do you love it? And I promise it'll make your day.
Good old YouTube.
Do you love it? All right. We are 16